87 confirmed kills. A sniper who saves lives but carries a silent burden. In a war where survival is the only guarantee, Sergeant Olivia Carter leads with precision, but at what cost? Witness the untold truth behind the coin and the ghost of the battlefield. Watch now. In the sweltering heat of Afghanistan, Captain Daniel Harris had seen everything. From the sands of the battlefield to the quiet tension of life on a forward operating base, nothing about this place felt routine. The constant buzz of gunfire, the silent threats lurking in every shadow. Survival wasn't a given. It was earned, and it was something he knew he had to work for every single day. One face among many stood out, not because of any overt action or flashy personality, but because of her quiet, lethal efficiency. Sergeant Olivia Carter, a soldier who didn't talk much and didn't seek attention, but who commanded respect in every corner of the camp. She carried her rifle like it was part of her body, and when it came to the range, she was nothing short of perfect. Captain Harris had watched her, not with the eyes of a leader who expected perfection, but with the gaze of someone who knew when something rare was before them. Carter wasn't just skilled, she was methodical and deadly calm. One shot, one result. Every time. The team was about to head out on a routine recon patrol. Harris had warned them to stay sharp, but deep down, he knew there was no such thing as routine in a place like this. The convoy moved across the desert with practiced efficiency, dust rising in thick clouds. Harris could sense the unease that gripped him as his eyes scanned the horizon for signs of trouble. He had seen enough to know that danger never came when you expected it. As they dismounted to set up overwatch, Harris caught a moment with Carter. Her Barrett Mara rifle was slung across her shoulders, but there was something different about the way she held it, almost like she was preparing for something far beyond the patrol. The sudden silence was shattered by the unmistakable sound of a jam in Carter's weapon. Harris approached, his training kicking in as he worked to clear it. But there was something about Carter's reaction that caught his attention. No curse, no panic, just stillness. When he finally cleared the chamber, his hand brushed against something unexpected. A coin, darkened by time, nestled in the fabric of her gear. The number 87 was etched into it. Harris paused, the weight of the number sinking in. He had seen challenge coins before, tokens given for bravery or achievement. But this was different. This coin, this number, spoke of a past that Carter hadn't shared with him. 87 confirmed kills. When Harris met her gaze, he realized something that he hadn't understood before. Carter wasn't just a soldier. She was a guardian haunted by the ghosts of her past, but still carrying out her duty with unflinching precision. The next day, an ambush hit during a convoy mission. It was as sudden as it was brutal. Insurgents attacked from the ridges, explosions rocking the convoy as men scrambled for cover. In the chaos, Carter didn't hesitate. Her rifle thundered as she methodically took out the enemy, one shot at a time. But as the squad regrouped, Harris could see the unease in his men's eyes. They admired Carter's skill, but there was something unsettling about her. Some feared her, some revered her, but nobody truly understood her. When the patrol ended, Harris found her cleaning her weapon as if nothing had changed. But something had. Her actions spoke of a burden, a weight that only she seemed to understand. Back at base. Rumors swirled about Sergeant Carter's coin. 87 confirmed kills. The number lingered in the air, like an unspoken truth. Harris tried to keep his platoon focused on the mission, but he knew the whispers had already begun. That night, Harris found Carter sitting alone on the edge of the camp, her rifle resting against the sandbags. The coin was in her hand, and as she traced the number with her thumb, Harris realized that the number wasn't a badge of honor. It was a ledger of lives, a reminder of the cost of survival. Days passed, and Harris continued to observe Carter from a distance. Her calm under fire was unmatched, but there was a tension in the air. Some soldiers admired her, but others were afraid of her. They didn't understand the weight she carried, the 87 lives that haunted her every decision. One night, after a particularly tense patrol, Harris sat beside her. He asked the question that had been lingering on his mind for days. The coin. Where did it come from? Carter didn't look at him at first. She spoke in quiet tones, recounting her second tour. She had been part of a special operations team, assigned to protect an Allied convoy. The enemy had hit them hard, and Carter had responded with deadly efficiency, each shot buying the men on the convoy a chance to escape. By the end of the mission, the coin had been pressed into her hand. 87 confirmed kills. It wasn't a gift, she said, her voice cracking slightly. It was a reminder. Harris understood. The coin wasn't a symbol of pride. It was a burden she had accepted, and it weighed on her in ways that the rest of the platoon would never understand. In the days that followed, Harris saw Carter's leadership take root. When the squad was faced with another ambush, it was Carter's calm precision that kept them alive. Her every move was calculated, each shot taken with purpose. At the debriefing, Harris stood in front of the platoon, the tension still palpable. Carter saved us today. Her skill kept this squad alive when chaos threatened to tear us apart. She's part of this platoon, not because of the number on her coin, but because of the trust she's earned through action. Slowly, the whispers began to fade. Soldiers who had once feared Carter began to respect her. They saw the value in her leadership, the quiet strength that kept them safe. The days stretched on, and Carter continued to lead with unwavering resolve. Harris watched as the platoon came to understand her in ways they never had before. The coin, the 87 kills, no longer defined her. What mattered now was the trust she had built, the lives she had saved, and the respect she had earned. As Harris sat with her one evening, looking out over the desert, he understood the truth. The number doesn't define you, Carter. It never did. What matters is the survival of the men under your command. And you've done that time and time again. Carter didn't reply at first, but when she did, it was with a quiet sense of finality. It's not about me, Captain. It's about making sure they get home. The platoon had changed. Carter's skill, her leadership, had forged a bond that no number or coin could ever break. The men no longer whispered behind her back. They trusted her. As the desert night stretched before them, Harris realized that Sergeant Olivia Carter had become more than just a soldier. She had become a symbol of resilience and leadership, a protector whose burden was the survival of those around her. The whispers had stopped, the fear had faded, and the platoon at last understood the true weight of the coin. It wasn't about death, it was about survival. And that, in the end, was the only thing that mattered. The weeks rolled on, and with each passing day, the desert became a little more unforgiving. But amidst the endless sand and dust, something within the platoon began to shift. They had survived ambushes, dealt with the weight of war, and fought for every inch of ground. But more than that, they had learned to trust each other. And at the center of that trust stood Sergeant Olivia Carter. The coin, once a symbol of death and the past she carried, had become something more. It was a reminder of what she had done. Yes, but more than that, it was a reminder of her commitment to the men and women around her. But with that trust came a burden, one that even Carter couldn't fully explain. The soldiers respected her. They feared her, too, but that fear was slowly turning into admiration. Harris noticed the change, and though he didn't always approve of the whispers that lingered around her, he couldn't deny the fact that Olivia was the glue holding this platoon together. One night, as the platoon settled in for some much-needed rest, Harris found Carter once again sitting at the edge of the camp. The desert night stretched before them, cold and silent, broken only by the occasional rustle of sand against the walls. Olivia, Harris called softly, approaching her. She looked up, her face soft under the moonlight, her eyes reflecting the weight of the past and the resilience she had built since then. "You ever think about home?" Harris asked, his voice gentle. Olivia didn't answer right away. She turned the coin over in her palm, her fingers tracing the numbers engraved on its surface. "Home feels like a lifetime ago," she finally said, her voice low but steady. "But I think about it sometimes. When I close my eyes, I remember the quiet. I remember what it's like to feel normal again. But then I open my eyes, and it's just ... This, the desert, the missions, the choices." Harris nodded, his heart heavy with understanding. Olivia had been through so much. She had fought, had killed, had saved lives, but at what cost? "You don't have to carry this alone," Harris said quietly, sitting down beside her. Olivia didn't look at him, but she knew what he meant. "I carry it for them, Captain, for the ones who come home, for the ones who didn't. But I don't expect anyone to understand." Harris stayed silent for a moment, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Then he spoke again, with a newfound sense of clarity. "You don't have to be a ghost," he said softly. "You're more than that." Olivia looked at him then, her eyes softer than before. "I don't want to be a ghost. But sometimes, it's easier that way."